British gold sovereign is more than just a coin. It's honestly a piece of history you can hold in your hand. For over 500 years, it has represented the power and prestige of the British monarchy. Its story is long and fascinating. It tells us about kings and queens, empires and economies, and art and design. The sovereign is known all over the world. It's a symbol of trust and quality. Its journey began a very long time ago, even before the first sovereign was made. Back in medieval England, gold coins were very important. They showed the wealth and authority of the ruler. These early coins set the stage for a new, grander coin that would soon appear. Before the sovereign, England had other gold coins. There was the gold florin, introduced by Edward III in 1344. Later came the noble, which was a very popular and trusted coin. These coins were used for large payments and international trade. They helped to establish England's reputation in the world of commerce. The designs on these coins were very important. They usually showed the king in a position of power, often on a ship or a throne. This imagery was a clear message. It told everyone that the English monarch was strong and controlled the seas and trade. The quality of the gold was also crucial. It had to be pure to be accepted, building a foundation of trust that the sovereign would later inherit and strengthen. The idea of a large, impressive gold coin was not new. Rulers across Europe used such coins to show off their wealth and status. A grand coin was kind of like a business card for a king. It announced his importance to other rulers and to his own people. In the late 15th century, England was coming out of a long period of civil war, the Wars of the Roses. The new king needed to show that he was firmly in charge. He needed a symbol that was powerful, new, and undeniably royal. A coin was the perfect way to do this. It could travel throughout the kingdom and even overseas, carrying the king's image and message far and wide. This was the world into which the sovereign was born. The stage was set for a coin that would be bigger and more impressive than any English coin before it. It would not just be money, it would be a political statement. It would celebrate a new dynasty and a new era of peace and prosperity for England. The name itself, sovereign, was chosen for a reason. It meant the supreme ruler, the king himself. The coin was designed to be a direct reflection of the monarch's majesty. Its creation marked a turning point in the history of British coinage, beginning a legacy that continues to this day, a golden thread running through centuries of British history. The first gold sovereign was created in 1489. It was made under the order of King Henry VII. He was the first Tudor king. Henry VII had won the throne after the long and bloody Wars of the Roses. He needed to secure his position as the rightful King of England. He wanted to show everyone that the Tudor dynasty was strong and here to stay. A new, magnificent gold coin was a perfect way to send this message. He called it the Sovereign. The name itself was a powerful statement. It meant that he was the supreme ruler, the undisputed head of the nation. It was a bold move, designed to impress both his subjects and rival European monarchs. The design of Henry VII's sovereign was unlike any previous English coin. It was much larger and heavier, weighing half a troy ounce or 240 grains. It was struck in 23-carat gold, making it very valuable. On one side, the obverse, it showed the king in full majesty. Henry VII was seated on his coronation throne, holding the royal orb and scepter. This image was incredibly detailed and projected an aura of immense power and authority. It was not just a portrait, it was a declaration of his divine right to rule. The coin was meant to be seen and admired, a miniature work of art that spoke of stability and royal splendor after years of conflict. On the other side, the reverse, was another powerful symbol. It featured the magnificent Tudor rose. This was a new emblem created by Henry VII. It combined the red rose of the House of Lancaster with the white rose of the House of York. This single flower symbolized the union of the two warring houses through his marriage to Elizabeth of York. It represented the end of the Civil War and the beginning of a new era of peace. This design was a brilliant piece of political propaganda. It told a story of unity and reconciliation. The rose was placed at the center of a large double shield, reinforcing the message of a strong, united kingdom under Tudor rule. The creation of this coin was a significant event. It was not intended for everyday use by ordinary people. Its high value meant it was used for large transactions between wealthy merchants, nobles, and the state itself. It was also used for diplomatic gifts, a way for Henry VII to show off his kingdom's wealth to foreign ambassadors and rulers. Each coin was a testament to the skill of the mint's engravers and the wealth of the English crown. Henry VII's sovereign successfully established a new standard for royal coinage. It created a powerful and lasting symbol for the new Tudor dynasty, laying the golden groundwork for centuries of numismatic history. The sovereign continued to be an important coin after Henry VII. His son, Henry VIII, also issued sovereigns. Henry VIII was a king known for his grand personality and lavish spending. His sovereigns reflected his character. While they kept the basic design of the monarch on the throne, they were often debased. This means the amount of pure gold in the coin was reduced. Henry VIII needed vast sums of money for his wars, palaces, and extravagant court life. Debasing the coinage was a way to create more money from the same amount of gold. This practice, known as the Great Debasement, damaged the coin's reputation for a time, as people lost trust in its value. Following Henry VIII, his children Edward VI, Mary I, and Elizabeth I all issued their own versions of the sovereign. Elizabeth I, in particular, worked hard to restore the quality of English coinage. Her reign is often called a golden age, and her coins reflected this. Her fine sovereigns were returned to a high standard of gold purity. The designs became more refined, with elegant portraits of the Queen. These coins helped to rebuild England's financial credibility, both at home and abroad. The sovereign under Elizabeth I once again became a symbol of stability and prosperity, representing a strong and confident nation under a powerful and respected monarch. The Stuart era, which began in 1603 with James I, brought new changes. James I was already King of Scotland, and he united the crowns of England and Scotland. He introduced a new version of the sovereign called the Unite. This coin's name and design emphasized the joining of the two kingdoms. It was a powerful political message. However, the 17th century was a time of great upheaval. The English Civil War led to the execution of King Charles I. During this period, the Parliament and the King both issued their own coins to pay their armies. The traditional sovereign ceased to be minted, replaced by other denominations as the country was torn apart by conflict. After the monarchy was restored with Charles II, the coinage was reformed again. In 1663, a new machine-made gold coin called the guinea was introduced. It was named after the Guinea coast of West Africa, where much of the gold used to make it came from. The guinea was a very successful and popular coin. For nearly 150 years, it replaced the sovereign as Britain's main gold coin. The original, large, Tudor-style sovereign was no longer made. Its story seemed to have come to an end. It had been a symbol of royal power for over a century. But now, a new coin had taken its place. The name sovereign lay dormant, waiting for a new era to be revived. For about 150 years, the name sovereign disappeared from British coinage. The guinea became the star of the show. First minted in 1663, the guinea was a modern machine-struck coin. It was slightly smaller than the old Tudor sovereign, but was produced with much greater precision and consistency. This made it very reliable for trade. Its value was originally set at 20 shillings, the same as £1 sterling. However, the price of gold fluctuated, and for most of its life, the guinea was worth more than £1, often trading for 21 shillings. This made it a little awkward for everyday accounting. but beloved by merchants for its stable gold content. The guinea reigned supreme throughout the late Stuart and Georgian periods. It funded the growth of Britain's trade networks and the expansion of its empire. It was the coin of the Industrial Revolution and the wars against Napoleon. The designs on the guinea were typical of the era, featuring portraits of the reigning monarch on the obverse, and various arrangements of royal shields on the reverse. These coins were practical and respected, a workhorse of the British economy. The memory of the grand, majestic sovereign of Henry VII faded into the pages of history books. It seemed that the age of the guinea would last forever, a symbol of a modern, commercially minded Britain. However, the turn of the 19th century brought massive changes. The long and expensive Napoleonic Wars put immense strain on Britain's finances. Gold became scarce as it was needed to pay for armies and subsidize allies. People began to hoard gold coins, and paper money became more common. After Britain's final victory over Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, the government decided it was time for a major overhaul of the nation's currency. This was known as the Great Recoinage of 1816. The goal was to create a stable and reliable currency based on a gold standard, with £1 sterling being equal to a specific amount of gold. As part of this reform, a new principal gold coin was needed. The government decided to retire the guinea, with its awkward value of 21 shillings. They needed a new coin with a face value of exactly £1 or 20 shillings. Instead of inventing a new name, they looked to the past. They decided to revive the historic and prestigious name, the sovereign. This new modern sovereign was first struck in 1817. It was smaller and lighter than its Tudor ancestor, but it was made with the same commitment to quality and authority. The return of the sovereign marked a new chapter in British history, symbolizing victory, stability, and the nation's renewed economic power. So, the new sovereign, first issued in 1817, was really a product of the modern industrial age. It was precisely manufactured at the newly relocated Royal Mint on Tower Hill. The Mint was now powered by steam engines, which honestly was a marvel of the time. This allowed coins to be produced with incredible accuracy and speed. Each new sovereign was struck in 22-carat gold, a standard known as crown gold. It had a specific weight of 7.98 grams and a diameter of 22.05 millimeters. These exact specifications were crucial. They guaranteed the coin's intrinsic value and ensured it would be trusted and accepted everywhere. This was the birth of the modern sovereign we know today. The obverse of the first modern sovereign featured a portrait of the reigning monarch, King George III. The portrait was created by a talented Italian engraver named Benedetto Pistrucci. It was a classical laurel-wreathed bust done in the style of a Roman emperor. This design choice was definitely deliberate. It was meant to link Britain with the glory and power of the ancient Roman Empire, projecting an image of strength, tradition, and imperial authority. This classical style of portrait would become a signature feature of British coins for many years to come, setting a high standard for royal portraiture and really blending tradition with a forward-looking vision. Now, the reverse side of the new coin was even more revolutionary. Instead of the traditional coat of arms, the Chancellor of the Exchequer had a different idea. He wanted a design that was more artistic and symbolic. So he chose a dynamic and powerful image, also designed by Benedetto Pistrucci. It depicted the legendary St. George on horseback, slaying a dragon. This design was truly a masterpiece of numismatic art, full of action and energy. The image of St. George, the patron saint of England, defeating the dragon was a powerful allegory. It was widely interpreted as representing Britain's triumph over Napoleon's France, basically good conquering evil. The combination of precise manufacturing, the classical portrait, and the dramatic St. George and the Dragon reverse made the new sovereign an instant success. It was both a beautiful object and a reliable piece of currency, the coin perfectly captured the spirit of the age. Britain was confident and powerful after its victory in the Napoleonic Wars, and it was embarking on a century of industrial growth and imperial expansion. The modern sovereign was the perfect coin for this new era. It was a symbol of British pride, economic strength, and artistic excellence. Really, it was ready to travel the globe as the flagship coin of a rising global power. The long reign of Queen Victoria, from 1837 to 1901, was really the golden age of the sovereign. During this period, the British Empire grew to its largest extent, covering about a quarter of the world's land area. The sovereign became the coin of the empire. It was used and trusted from Canada to Australia, from India to South Africa. It was more than just British money. It was the world's money. Its consistent weight and gold purity meant that it was accepted as a reliable standard of value in international trade. A merchant in Hong Kong could accept a sovereign with the same confidence as a banker in London. It was the backbone of the global gold standard. During Queen Victoria's reign, several different portraits of the monarch appeared on the sovereign. The first was the young head portrait designed by William Wyon. It showed the Queen as a beautiful young woman when she first came to the throne. This image was used for over 50 years and became incredibly famous around the world. As the Queen aged, the portrait was updated. In 1887, for her Golden Jubilee, the Jubilee head was introduced. This showed a more mature Queen wearing a small crown. Finally, in 1893, the old head or veiled head portrait was issued, showing the elderly and widowed Queen, a respected and iconic figure. The huge demand for sovereigns across the empire led to a major change in production. It was no longer practical to mint all the coins in London and ship them thousands of miles. To solve this, the Royal Mint opened branch mints in key locations within the empire. The first one opened in Sydney, Australia in 1855, followed by Melbourne and then Perth. Later, branch mints were also established in Canada, India and South Africa. Sovereigns made at these mints can be identified by a small mint mark, such as an S for Sydney or M for Melbourne. This global production network made the sovereign a truly international currency. The sovereign became deeply embedded in the culture of the Victorian era. It was seen as the ultimate symbol of wealth and security. People would save sovereigns as a nest egg for the future. In popular literature of the time, from Charles Dickens to Sherlock Holmes, characters often deal in sovereigns. Receiving a bag of gold meant receiving a bag of sovereigns. The coin represented honesty, hard work, and prosperity. It was the financial bedrock of an era of unprecedented British power and influence. A small golden disc that carried the weight of an entire empire and defined an age of global commerce and confidence. The most iconic design ever to appear on the sovereign is Benedetto Pistrucci's St. George and the Dragon. This image has become synonymous with the coin itself. When people think of the sovereign, this is the picture that most often comes to mind. Pistrucci, an Italian gem engraver who came to work at the Royal Mint in London, created the design in 1817 for the first modern sovereign. His creation was a radical departure from the static and formal coats of arms that had traditionally been used on the reverse of British coins. It was a dynamic, neoclassical masterpiece full of life and drama, perfectly suited to the confident spirit of post-Waterloo Britain. The design shows the heroic figure of St. George, naked except for a helmet and cape, mounted on a powerful horse. He is twisting his body to strike a final blow into a fearsome dragon writhing beneath the horse's hooves. A broken spear lies on the ground, indicating a long and difficult struggle. The entire scene is contained within a simple border, which focuses all the viewer's attention on the central action. Pistrucci drew his inspiration from classical Greek sculpture, particularly the Elgin marbles, which had recently arrived in London. This gave the design a timeless, heroic quality that has allowed it to endure for over 200 years. Interestingly, Pistrucci's design has not always been used on the sovereign. during the reigns of George IV, William IV, and, for the early part of Queen Victoria's reign, it was replaced by a more conventional shield or coat of arms design. Many people felt the St. George design was too flamboyant or even pagan for a national coin. However, it was so popular with the public that it was brought back into use in 1871. Since then, it has been the primary reverse design for the sovereign, appearing in almost every monarch's reign. Its return cemented its status as the definitive image of the coin, a victory for artistic merit over conservative tradition. The enduring appeal of the St. George and the dragon design lies in its powerful symbolism. It represents the triumph of good over evil, order over chaos, and courage over fear. For Britain in the 19th century, it symbolized the nation's victory over Napoleonic France. In later times, it has been seen as a more general symbol of resilience and strength. The image is not just a picture, it is a story captured in gold. The masterful engraving, the classical beauty, and the powerful narrative have made Pistrucci's St. George and the Dragon one of the most famous and beloved coin designs in the entire world, a true work of art that has stood the test of time. The 20th century brought profound changes that ended the sovereign's role as a circulating currency. The outbreak of the First World War in 1914 was the beginning of the end. The British government needed to pay for the immense cost of the war. It encouraged citizens to turn in their gold sovereigns in exchange for paper money. A poster from the time declared, "The German has a silver bullet. You have a golden sovereign. Lend it to your country and crush the Germans." Gold was needed to pay for war supplies from overseas, especially the United States. The sovereign effectively disappeared from daily circulation in Britain and was never to return. After the war, Britain struggled to return to the gold standard. Sovereigns were still minted, mainly at the branch mints in the empire, for international trade and to be held in central bank reserves. The last circulating sovereign was struck at the London Mint in 1925 under King George V, though production continued in Pretoria, South Africa, until 1932. The Great Depression and the economic turmoil of the 1930s forced Britain and other countries to abandon the gold standard completely. The age of the sovereign as a global currency was over. For several decades, the coin was not produced at all, except for a special proof issue for King George VI's coronation in 1937. The story of the sovereign took another turn in 1957. The Royal Mint began striking sovereigns again, this time for a new market: gold bullion investors. In the post-war world, there was a high demand for gold coins as a way to store wealth, particularly in the Middle East, and due to currency instability. However, many of these coins were forgeries. To combat this and meet the demand for genuine coins, the Royal Mint restarted mass production of the sovereign, featuring the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. These coins were not intended to be spent in shops, but to be bought and sold for the value of their gold content. The sovereign had been reborn as a bullion coin. Today, in the 21st century, the sovereign continues to thrive. It is one of the world's most popular and trusted bullion coins, prized by investors for its gold content, historical significance, and brand recognition. The Royal Mint also issues special proof versions for the collector market each year. These coins are struck to the highest quality and often feature one-year-only commemorative designs, such as for royal jubilees or historical anniversaries. From a king's political statement in 1489 to a global currency in the 19th century, the sovereign has evolved once again to become a cherished item for both investors and collectors, securing its place in the modern world. The legacy of the British gold sovereign is immense and multifaceted. It is a story that spans more than 5 centuries, mirroring the rise, dominance, and evolution of Britain itself. From its inception as Henry VII's symbol of power to its role as the linchpin of the Victorian global economy, the sovereign has been much more than money. It has been a messenger of authority, a tool of empire, and a standard of trust recognized across continents. Its journey through periods of war, peace, and vast economic change shows a remarkable ability to adapt and remain relevant. The coin's history is a golden thread woven directly into the fabric of British and world history. One of the sovereign's most important legacies is its association with trust and stability. For centuries, the coin's precise weight and 22-carat gold purity were strictly guaranteed by the Royal Mint. In a world where rulers often debased their coinage, the sovereign and its predecessor, the guinea, built an unparalleled reputation for integrity. This trust was the foundation of the 19th century gold standard, which facilitated an unprecedented era of global trade and investment. Even today, as a bullion coin, the sovereign's primary appeal is this legacy of trust. Investors know that a sovereign is a genuine, high-quality gold coin, a reputation built over hundreds of years. The sovereign also carries a powerful cultural and symbolic legacy. It is an icon of British heritage, instantly recognizable and deeply connected to the identity of the monarchy. The enduring image of St. George and the Dragon is a masterpiece of numismatic art, representing timeless ideals of courage and triumph. The portraits of the monarchs on the obverse provide a tangible link to the past, a gallery of British history that you can hold in your hand. For many, the sovereign represents a gold standard, in a metaphorical sense, a benchmark of quality, tradition, and enduring value in a rapidly changing world. It is a piece of history, a work of art, and a national symbol all in one. In conclusion, the golden journey of the sovereign is far from over. It has successfully transitioned from a medieval statement of power to a circulating currency of empire, and finally to a modern bullion and collector's coin. Its ability to reinvent itself for new eras is a testament to its fundamental appeal. The sovereign remains a benchmark for quality, a symbol of economic security, and a tangible piece of Britain's long and storied past. Its golden gleam continues to captivate investors, collectors, and historians alike, ensuring that the legacy of this remarkable coin will endure for many centuries to come.